Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to today's Sohbet and Dhikr on this, the 25th of February 2021. I do apologize about being different time to what I actually said in the invitation. I was planning to do this for 6:30. But things don't always go according to plan. I'll put some food out for the girls, and that caused me to get slightly late. Then when I sit in front of the computer and I thought everything's ready, the Windows informs me that it needs to do a reboot because of some kind of update or something. I don't know. It knows exactly the time to choose in order to do that. But what can you do? These things happen. It's life. Took a little while to do that, but never mind. But here we are. We're here in the end, and that's the main thing, of course. If things don't always go to plan, just persevere and do the best you can. This is what's important. I hope everybody is well, wherever you're watching this from, and things are improving. Here in the UK, we are coming out of winter. I know I've got a nice wintry picture here on Zoom, but we're coming out of winter in the UK, it would seem. The weather seems to be getting warmer and brighter. And yeah, depending on where you are in the world, that may not resonate with you. If you don't have particularly dark winters, or you don't have winter, then you may wonder what I'm on about. But in the UK, it gets very dark in the middle of winter. The day length becomes quite short, probably about 6 or 7 hours in the middle of winter is the length of daylight in the UK. And then it quickly goes dark, and it's dark throughout the rest of the day. So the days are getting longer now, not literally, but in terms of the amount of daylight. And it was quite bright and beautiful today. Thinking about it, I should have probably took a picture of that and used that as my backdrop on Zoom. There's a beautiful blue sky today. Still not so warm, but it's mild, it's not cold. And that's quite a welcome sight when we've had a lot of dull skies. Because even though the day length is about 6 or 7 hours, when it gets cloudy, you don't even enjoy 6 or 7 hours of daylight in this country when it's winter. The clouds are enough to block out what feeble sunlight we get. But alhamdulillah, it is what it is. We don't get too hot either, which has its own blessings. But this isn't what I was planning to talk about today. Nonetheless, it is beautiful to see that the weather's improving and that we are coming into brighter days. And this coincides in this country with when Christians celebrate Lent. They're currently doing Lent at the moment and heading into Easter, which, of course, those who know the development of religion in this country, its history, know that it's set around this time because of pre-Christian festivals that would celebrate the spring. Probably it would have been quite similar to European Vaisakhi or Spring Festival, like they celebrate Spring Festival in China and Vaisakhi in India, a time of welcoming in the spring, celebrating for the community. And this is the thing here, the traditional festivals are seasonal. I mean, the original calendar, the festivals on the calendar for the Jews in the Middle East may not have been as seasonal. But it's hard to say. I mean, they have a correction month that corrects the seasons. And there are seasons in Israel. But it's interesting. Lent itself is interesting because Lent is traditionally a month of fasting. And of course, we as Muslims are in the month of Rajab at the moment, which is when we start to prepare for Ramadan and start to look forward to Ramadan in a couple of months' time, which is our month of traditionally of fasting. And there are connections there. I mean, when people look for differences, they always see the differences. But when you start looking at what we share, there are connections. And Lent probably originally would have been quite similar to Ramadan. I mean, today a lot of Christians don't fast, or they don't fast the way that maybe their forebears would have done. But Christianity too has a long tradition of fasting. And they would have done similar things in the past. And obviously would have opened their fasts with prayers and closed their fasts with prayers, like us Muslims do in Ramadan. We're all branches on the Abrahamic tree of faiths. So it's not surprising that we share some common ground. Today, I was going to discuss something about the different ways within Islam that people approach Allah. Because Islam is not a monolithic religion. There are within Islam different groups of people who approach things differently. And it's important to understand that differently doesn't necessarily mean the one or the other has all the answers. It doesn't necessarily mean that one or the other of these groups is right or wrong. There is unfortunately a fitna around today, a calamity within our religion, where there are those who, if they see somebody doing something differently, they automatically assume that it's baseless and wrong, and they start to make judgments about that person's religion. And I caution against this. I often caution against this. And I, as a reminder, I do so again today. And as a reminder for myself as well, because I must admit I haven't always been as open-minded. And even though I've not been one to go around making takfir on people, that in the past there have been times when I took stronger views on things than what I would necessarily do now. And it's part of learning, so, we have to understand that when people do this, it tends to be from a position of ignorance. And as long as it's not willful ignorance, in other words, that they're choosing to be like that, and they're not trying to learn, then we can't, hold too strong a line against that. When that is the case, this is really regrettable, because these people, they're holding themselves back, and they're bringing suffering upon themselves, as well as inflicting it upon other people. So it's something that we must be very careful of when we're forming judgments on other people. If it's not necessary to form a judgment, don't. Avoid it at all costs. There are times, though, depending on your role and responsibility within society, where you may have to make a judgment on someone. And unlike what some people may claim, this is also allowed within Islam. But it depends what the situation is. You don't just go around making judgments upon everybody. But at the same time, if, for instance, let's say you're running a business. If you're running a business and you need to have a business partner, then you have to make a judgment about the character of the person who you're going into business with. You would indeed be rather foolish not to do that. But at the same time, you know, there's a place for that. And also, if someone was employed as a judge at a magistrate's or county court, then it's actually their job. They have to make judgments about people. And why? Because it's their job to, you know, keep the peace, actually. If they don't make judgments and ensure that there is justice within society, then you end up with a situation where there's a lack of justice. And if there's no justice in society, then society will start to crumble. People will not be behaving so civilized with each other because they will be feeling that they are being wronged. So there is certainly a place within society for people who make judgments. But notice in these particular cases, there is good reason for making a judgment about someone else. If you're going into a business with someone, you are trusting maybe even your life in that person's hands, because it's a serious investment. If something happens to your business, it could have severe repercussions. So you have to know that whoever you're going into business with is trustworthy. And so you have to formulate a judgment in that situation. Alternatively, I mean, if your job is as a judge within a state, then you have to make judgments because it's your job, and it's your job in order to establish justice within the society. So there is good reason in these particular situations. It's not a case of people just randomly going around formulating judgments about people. So, yes, I am admitting people as they come in. So, I mean, this is important that we understand where these things, where these things fall within Islam. But there are different ways of approaching God within Islam, and this was my original point that I'm getting back to. And traditionally, there are like two main paths to approaching God. One is through the religious law and through knowledge. And the other one was through love. And it's not like you have to pursue one or the other. And in fact, the traditional imams of Al-Sunnah wal Jamaat, the Sunni tradition within Islam, they always encourage people to pursue a path that was balanced between these, so that it wasn't focused entirely on the jurisprudence, and it wasn't focused, or Sharia as some people might call that, and it wasn't focused entirely on spirituality and love, but it was a balance between the two, and you pursued these in parallel. And when you do that, then you do achieve a certain balance within your life. These two approaches have their purpose. It's not that, we're just pursuing, on the one hand, religious jurisprudence and not being spiritual. I mean, if we have that, we just end up with an empty shell of what the religion could be. And as one of the Sufi saints once called it, it's like dead wood. And there's also, I mean, that's poetic as well, because obviously what's books made of? Sheikh Bayazid al-Bistami, when he was asked about his religion, he says, our religion is alive. Whereas, what's this? So, I mean, Wait a second. Okay, if you want to enter questions into the chat box, you're most welcome to add a question. Oh, dear. Sorry about that, a bit of a technical glitch. But these things happen when you do things on the internet, I guess. So it's like within Islam, there's traditionally these two approaches. One is through the law, and one is through the spirituality. And traditionally, as Imam Malik once said, it's a case of balancing these two between the spirituality and between the law. And the law is supposed to create like a framework within which one can spiritually grow and develop. It's not a case of it's supposed to be like closed and rigid. It's about a balance. And that's the whole point. It's about achieving balance within our lives. Because if we don't achieve balance in our lives, then we will have rather unbalanced lives. And that's not going to be to anybody's benefit. They're not going to achieve happiness or harmony that way, which is what the whole point of Islam is trying to achieve, is to teach us how to live a balanced and harmonious life. Now, I found this lovely little poem of a Turkish sheikh called Yunus Emre, and it's from this book, the Divan of Yunus Emre. This is translated by Paul Smith. If both worlds were prisons, they'd be orchard gardens to me. I'm not unhappy when upon me the friend looks favorably. I would bloom like a rose if of the friend I became a slave. Like the nightingale, I would sing of love. In love's rose garden I'd be. Beloved's face I saw. God's friends, my face is in their dust. All who know my words know sugarcane to chew sweetly. If all claims of the world you pass up, and to beloved fly and drink love's wine, that you'll be drunk on bliss is a certainty. Both worlds are prison cells for my eyes, if I cannot see you. Anyone knowing your love must be the purest one can see. My love of your love never tires. In spite of me, I talk of you. Eunice, may all your words for both worlds be an epic story. Now, this is by a famous Turkish Sufi saint called Yunus Emre. And highlighted here, if both worlds were prisons, there'd be orchard gardens to me. If both worlds, what are both worlds? It's the world here and the world in the hereafter. But Yunus Emre is saying they would both be prisons for me if God wasn't there. The friend, with it capitalized here, it's referring to God. And Yunus Emre is saying that he would bloom like a rose if he became the servant of the friend, i.e. the servant of God. And like a nightingale, he'd sing of love in love's rose garden. So this whole focus on the lover and the beloved, in approaching God in this way, this is the traditional way that the Sufis approach God. So they would still follow the jurisprudence to give them a framework within which to function, within which to approach life. But the reality, what they would really be focused on is the love of God. So this framework is there in order to allow them to be able to love God and to focus on God. It's a framework that's there for good. It's not a framework which is inhibiting them. It's not a framework which is supposed to be oppressive. And should that happen, then it's no longer, functioning the way it's supposed to function. It's no longer serving its purpose. And this is why some people, what they understand of Sharia today, they are actually misunderstanding it. They are getting it completely wrong. Because it's not meant to be something which is harsh. It's meant to create a constructive framework within which we can grow and develop spiritually, develop also personal development, but grow in the love of Allah and become a better human being. And through this, we can become more enlightened as a human being. What the Buddhists would call enlightenment, the Sufi approach is through love of God. It's interesting this evening. If you wonder what the technical glitch is, I just had a load of people join the chat. A load of people join my Zoom, or I just had to evict. Because they obviously had a whole different intention within their heart. And it is a shame. It's a shame that people have that impression of Islam in the first place, that they would see me as an enemy, or they would see me as a terrorist, or they would see me as some kind of threat to their civilization or something. It's I'm just browsing through some of these. I'm not going to repeat what people have said, but it's a shame. It really is. And for those who wonder, I'm an Englishman. I'm loyal to my country. And I have worked in countering extremism. So, don't make assumptions about people just because they are of a different faith to yourself. Remember, you might look at Islam as a Middle Eastern religion, but Christianity is a Middle Eastern religion. Jesus was a Middle Eastern man from Israel and Palestine. He wasn't a white American person or a white English or white European person. He was a Middle Eastern man. And, you know, there's so many things that we have within Europe and within America, good things, which everybody admires and appreciates us for, coming from, you know, the way that our societies have developed the sciences and have an open-minded approach towards science, the way we build societies which are balanced between different groups of people, or aim to be, and aim to give justice to different people. These come from Islamic influences, not people like ISIS and, you know, extremist people like this, but I'm talking about scholars from the 13th century that were inspiring to people in Europe at that time. And you know, consequently, I mean, when Europeans went to America and started America, some of these influences went to America as well, because the United States is based upon a lot of British thinking that was around during the 13th century. So don't assuming everything is bad about another group of people just because they happen to come from a different religion. I mean, I'm not even from a different, you know, cultural heritage or ethnic background to what a lot of these people who were, you know, commenting just now. And I'm an Englishman. And, you know, my parents weren't particularly religious, but my parents were from Christian backgrounds. So why do you think someone like myself embraced Islam? And if you listen to any of my talks that I deliver, there is nothing about terrorism in there. There is nothing about extremism in there. I talk of love and spirituality. I talk about getting to know yourself, personal development. Or is that what some people find threatening? Because it makes sense. And if that's the case, then instead of getting irritated with me, maybe think about what I'm saying. Anyway, it's your choice. We all have a free choice in this world. And it's no surprise, I guess, if I do this sort of work, that from time to time, I'm going to encounter things like that. May Allah forgive you all and grant you guidance. Before any further ado, I would like to start the Dhikr now. Now, before we start the meditation, we check our intentions. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نويت الأبين نويت الوسطى نويت القوة نويت الاعتكاف نويت السلوك نويت الريادة لله تعالى في هذا جميع. I intend to perform the 40 days of retreat. I intend to retreat in isolation. I intend to retreat in solitude. I intend to perform the retreat. I intend to follow the path. I intend to perform the spiritual practices for Allah the highest in this place of worship. Worship your Lord until He grants you certainty. Quran 15, Ayah 99. O Allah, make this our endeavor easy for us and grant us success in that which you love and which pleases you. Make us to be followers of your most noble Sharia and your beloved and chosen Prophet. Ameen. Peace be upon all the emissaries, especially the master of emissaries, Muhammad Salam. Praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. We begin with the Kalama Shahada. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah, 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 astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah, 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 astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه إنه هو التواب الرحيم يا مسبب الأسباب يا مفاتيح الأبواب يا مقرب القلوب والأبصار يا دليل المتخيرين يا غيث المستغيثين يا حي يا قيوم يا ذو الجلال والإكرام وأفوض أمري الله إن الله بصير بالعباد ربي تشريفا. Direct your heart to the heart of your Sheikh, spiritual teacher. Fatiha Sharifa. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين صلوات الشيخ اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم 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 اللهم صل على محمد وعلى بسم الله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Ali Muhammadin wa salim, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala آل محمد وسلم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى 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 آل محمد وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك وإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك وإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سورة إخلاص. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين صلوات الشريف بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم 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 اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ربي هديتني من الملك ولم تني من توليها حديث فطير السماوات والأرض أنت وليه في الدنيا والآخرة توفاني مسلما والإقني بالصالحين آمنا بالله صدق الله العظيم. سبحان ربك ربي ذاتي ما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. إلى حضراتي إلى شرف نبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وآله وصحبه الكرام وإلى وحي أنبياء والمرسلين وقدماء شرعهم وإلى إمامة أبواب وإلى مشيخين في tariqat Naqshbandi عالية قصتان العالي وجغان الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قال منه لا إله إلا الله 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 La ilaha illallah, 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 Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Hasbunallahu wa ni'mal wakeel. Wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim. Salamun kulum mir Rabbi Rahim. 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 سلام قولم من رب رحیم 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 حسبنا الله ونعم الوکیل ولا قوة الا بالله العلی العظیم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. نور محمد صلی علی 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 حسبنا الله ونعم الوکیل ولا قوة الا بالله.
إلا الشراب في نبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وآله وصحبه الكرام وإلى الله صحيح صلاتين وصديقيون الفاتحة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. The remembrance of God in Arabic, Allah. Allah, 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 Allahu Allah, 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 Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Allahu Allah, 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 Allahu Allah. Allahu Allah, 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 Allah. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ونقول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. God is with you. Is who حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. God is truth, the ultimate truth. Haq, 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 haq. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. God is ever living. Hey, 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 hey. حسبنا ذاك ونعم الوكيل وله ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. الله الله حق، 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 الله الله حق. Allahu Allah Haq, 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 Allahu Allah Hay, 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 Allah Hay Ya Qayyum, 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 Allah Hay Ya Qayyum. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Calling on the beautiful names of Allah. Yahu, Yahu, Yadaim. Yahu, Yahu, Yadaim. Yahu, Yahu, Yadaim. Allah, Yahu, Yadaim. Yadaim, 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 Ya Allah. Yadaim, 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 Ya Allah. Ya Halim, Ya Halim, Ya Halim, Ya Allah. Ya Halim, Ya Halim, Ya Halim, Ya Allah. Ya Hafiz, Ya Hafiz, Ya Hafiz, Ya Allah. Ya Hafiz, Ya Hafiz, Ya Hafiz, Ya Allah. Ya Latif, Ya Latif, Ya Latif, Ya Allah. Ya Latif, Ya Latif, Ya Latif, Ya Allah. Ya Ghaffar, Ya Ghaffur, Ya Ghaffar, Ya Ghaffur, Ya Grappa, Ya Grappu, 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 Ya Sata, Ya Fata, 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 Ya Sata, Ya Fata. Ya Mujib, Ya Mujib, Ya Mujib, Ya Allah. Ya Mujib, Ya Mujib, Ya Mujib, Ya Allah. Ya Muin, Ya Muin, Ya Muin, Ya Allah. Ya Muin, Ya Muin, Ya Muin, Ya Allah. Ya Mughith, Ya Mughith, Ya Mughith, Ya Allah. Ya Mughith, Ya Mughith, Ya Mughith, Ya Allah. Ya Wadud, Ya Wadud, Ya Wadud, Ya Allah. Ya Wadud, Ya Wadud, Ya Wadud, Ya Allah. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Rahim, Ya Karim, Ya Rahim, Ya Karim, Ya Rahim, Ya Karim, Ya Rahim, Ya Karim. Ya Hanan, Ya Mannan, Ya Hanan, Ya Mannan, Ya Hanan, Ya Mannan, Ya Hanan, Ya Mannan, Ya Dayyan, Ya Subhan, Ya Dayyan, Ya Subhan, Ya Dayyan, Ya Subhan, Ya Dayyan, Ya Subhan. Ya Subhan, Ya Sultan, Ya Subhan, Ya Sultan, Ya Subhan, Ya Sultan, Ya Subhan, Ya Sultan, Ya Sultan, Ya Sultan, Ya Sultan, Ya Allah, Ya Sultan, Ya Sultan, Ya Sultan, Ya Allah. Ya Aman, Ya Aman, Ya Aman, Ya Allah. Ya Aman, Ya Aman, Ya Aman, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, 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 Ya Allah. حسبنا ونعم الوكيل ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Salawatu Sharif, blessings upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم. 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 اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم 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 صلي الرب والسلام على صلي الرب والسلام على جميع أنبياء ومرسلين وعلى كلنا أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين على أشرف الأنبياء سيدنا محمد صلوات على أفضل الأنبياء سيدنا محمد صلوات على أكمل الأنبياء سيدنا محمد صلوات صلوات الله وبركاته وأنبيائه ورسوله وجميع كوكه على محمد وعلى آل محمد عليه وعليهم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته ورضي الله تبارك وتعالى عن سادتنا شعب رسول الله أجمعين وعن تبينا بهم بإحسان وعن مجتدين أحمدين وعن علماء متقين وعن أولياء الصالحين وأما الشيخين في تركة نقشبندية آلية كان السلام ومزاكية والنور الهدرة مباركة ورضى الله تعالى علينا من بركاتهم وفيوداتهم دائما والحمد لله رب العالمين الفاتحة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلاة المستقيم صلاة الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم Ya Allah, we ask you to shower your blessings upon the soul of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and raise his station in your divine presence and bless his entire family, all his noble ancestors and noble descendants, and all of the previous prophets and their noble ancestors and noble descendants, and especially the Ahlul Bayt, Imams Ali, Hassan, Hussein, Zain al-Abidin, Jafar as-Sadiq, all of the Ahlul Bayt. Ya Allah, shower them with your blessings and raise their stations in your divine presence. Oh Allah, shower your blessings upon the Sahaba Ikram, the Khilafa Rashideen, the Ulama, the Awliya, and especially my Sheikhs, Sufi Abdullah and Mulana Sheikh Nazim. Ya Allah, raise their stations in your divine presence. Bless their souls for all eternity and grant them more lights and blessings. Oh Allah, shower your blessings also on Sunan Gunung Jati, all of the Wali Songo, Sheikh Yusuf, and Sheikh Adang Badruddin, and my beloved father, Ya Allah, raise their stations in your divine presence and bless their souls for all eternity. Oh Allah, shower your blessings upon my mum, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, and grant them to remain in the best of physical, mental, and spiritual health. Grant them renewed health, renewed strength. Grant them long lives. Grant them the best of this life and the best of the hereafter, and look after them as they looked after us as young children. Oh Allah, grant them success in any good thing which they set their hearts and minds to. Grant them your divine protection and grant them forgiveness for any mistakes which they have made up until this point. Oh Allah, shower your blessings upon my brother and my sister, my brothers and sisters-in-law, and all of my nieces and nephews. Ya Allah, shower your divine protection upon them. Grant them your blessings. Grant them the best physical, mental, and spiritual health. Grant them to be successful in every good thing which they set their hearts and minds to. Grant them long and successful and fruitful lives, Ya Allah. O Allah, shower your blessings, your special blessings upon my beloved wife and our children, Sophia, Athena, and Elizabeth. O Allah, grant that our family be under your divine protection and blessings. Grant that we may have sufficient resources to be able to look after our family and fulfill our responsibilities for you to our human family. O Allah, shower your blessings upon us and grant us your divine guidance and support. Grant us never to be misguided after being guided, and grant my children to be guided and to never stray too far from the path, and that if they do, to swiftly be guided back to it in their hearts, Ya Allah, and to swiftly return. O Allah, shower your blessings upon our family. Grant us your divine support. Grant us your blessing. Grant us the best of this life and the best of the hereafter. Forgive us for our sins, Ya Allah. And thank you for all the manifold blessings which you bless us, for which we cannot even begin to thank you, and certainly cannot give you a worthy thank you for everything which you do for us. So thank you, Allah. Alhamdulillah. Shukriya, Allah. Ya Allah. Nothing we can say can really thank you, but please accept our thanks and appreciation, and know that we appreciate everything that you do for us, even if we do not thank you enough, Ya Allah. Ya Allah. Ya Allah, shower your blessings upon my friends, especially those friends who've been with me through difficult times and have always been there for me, especially Sheikh Robin and Nisha, Sheikh Amran and his family, Sheikh Amin and his family, Rafiq and his family, Jamil and his family, Dr. Kashid and his family, Mohammed Abbasi and his family, Nahid and her family, Hifsa and her family, Dr. Safi Kaskas and his family, Sheikh Hisham Kabani and his family, Sheikh Dawood Rosaoin and his family, Devinder and his family. Ya Allah, bless all of my friends. Bless Sean and his family. Bless Johnny and his family. Bless Suleiman and his family. Bless Nuha and her family and help her through her difficulties, Ya Allah. Grant her everything she needs to be able to be relieved from her difficulties, Ya Allah. Bless Hannah and her family. Bless Denisa and her family. Bless Hassan and his family. Bless Alex and his family. Bless bless Stephen and his family. Bless William and his family. Bless Ihya and his family. Danny and his family. Hassan and his family. Benny and his family. Ridwan and his family. Whitney and her family. Bless Nuning and her family. Bless Habil and his family. Bless Gus Yahya and his family. Gus Yakut and his family. Bless Gusto's family. Well, bless Holland and his family. Bless Harris and his family. Bless all of my friends, Ya Allah. Bless Todd and his family. Bless all of my friends. And grant them your divine support with any difficulties which they're having, relief from any difficulties, Ya Allah. Grant them ease out of any hardship that they're experiencing. Oh Allah, shower your blessings upon everybody within my circle of friends. And make this a means of connection between them and my sheikhs, through my sheikhs and Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And Ya Allah, extend this to everyone who's connected to me, whether through the Naqshbandi tariqat, the Association of British Muslims, the University of Birmingham Chaplaincy, Nadutul Ulama, friendships with people in Muhammadiyah, my intrafaith and interfaith networks, my social media. Ya Allah, however people are connected to me, make it a channel through which blessings and guidance may flow. And Ya Allah, fulfill another promise that you make in a hadith. Today I was joined by a group of people who obviously had very different intentions, as was obvious from their actions. But Ya Allah, you promised that when there is a gathering and people come to the gathering, even if they're there for some other reason, you promise in a hadith that you will bless them. So Allah, I'm seeking that you bless and guide every one of those people who joined today, whatever their intentions, and forgive them for anything, any sins which they committed. And make those also among those who are connected through me to my sheikhs, to the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, through to your divine presence. And make everyone who's connected to me, however they're connected, make this as a means of connection to my sheikhs, Sufi Abdullah and Maulana Sheikh Nazim, and through them and through their sheikhs, through the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, make a channel of blessings flow, of guidance flow, of divine support flow. And forgive everyone who is connected to me in this way, and forgive everyone by extension who's in our human family. Whatever their sins, whatever they committed, Ya Allah, forgive and guide everyone in our human family. And inspire our hearts with love, with forgiveness, with compassion, with kindness, that we may be a means of blessing on this earth and not a curse to anybody. For the sake of your beloved Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa sallam, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa sallam, salli ya Rabbi wa sallim ala jami'i anbiya'i wa muslim wa inkurin ajma'in wa alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Al-Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. اللهم بارك ثواب ما قرناه ونور ما ترناه ودية ووسيلة من روح نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وإلا أنبياء وإلا أولياء كاستان روح شاه نقشبند وإلى الشيخ عبد الله فيز داغستاني وإلى زندبيا وإلى صوفي عبد الله وإلى مولانا الشيخ نازي مدين اللقاني وإلى الشيخ دانغ بدرودين وإلى غوستو وإلى الشيخ هشام كباني وإلى الشيخ داود رسوين وإلى الشيخ محمد الديل وإلى الشيخ نور كباني وإلى صيوي سرتينا وصديقيون الفاتحة بسم الله الرحمن المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Those of you who tuned in from the UK, have a lovely evening. And wherever you are in the world, may Allah bless you. And if you find these programs useful, please don't hesitate to subscribe to my Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching these programs, and so you can keep updated, and receive the latest broadcasts or watch the recordings.
And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the Friday Reflections. Wish you all the very best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.